Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Has CSIS warned the Prime Minister, his staff, members of his party, that members of his caucus or cabinet are part of a foreign interference network? Yes or no?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Will the Chinese interference into our federal elections finally be the undoing of Justin Trudeau? Hello, I'm Adrienne BATRA. With me are Jamil, Jivani, and Brian Lilley. Jamil, we certainly know that Justin Trudeau's government, he himself, no stranger to scandal. It's a long list. The We Charity scandal, Lav scam, Gropegate, the disastrous India trip. I mean, it's a pretty long list. But this one, with the Chinese government interfering in our elections, this one appears to me to be the one that may stick to Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, I think there are two questions. I mean, should this be the end of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau? Absolutely, yes. This should not be a scandal, as you mentioned, that gets added to his long laundry list of things that he's been able to survive as Prime Minister. But will it be the end? I'm not as confident. There are some reasons to think that this one is being treated a bit differently. We've seen, for example, that viral video that went out on social media yesterday where he was actually being pressed by journalists. And you can see the tension and the stress inside of him boiling up because he realizes that the way he's been able to deal with the media for most of his time as leader of the country, it's not working anymore. There's a lot more expectation of tough questions and tough answers on this issue. So we have reason to be optimistic that maybe this is going to be different than his other scandals. But I don't know. I mean, his reputation as Teflon Trudeau is for good reason. And I'm not sure this one's going to spell the end of him right now.
Brian, you watch Question Period, so the rest of us don't have to. So thank you for that. But recently, there's one day when the Prime Minister answers all the questions, the opposition leader asks all the questions, and it's an interesting dynamic to watch that unfold between Pierre Poilievre and Justin Trudeau, which recently did just happen. And all the questions asked, and Pierre Poilievre sort of did it in a Socratic method about who knew what and when and how and why. Yeah. Trudeau didn't answer anything. He stuck to his talking points. You've covered these issues for some time. What's your impression of the longevity, not only of the scandal, but what it spells for Justin Trudeau's future?
Well, the scandal will continue as long as security agencies keep leaking. And let's talk about that for a second. It's not just reports from CSIS or an errant word or sentence out of a CSIS report that have been documented in the media. It has been reports from CSIS, from the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, this secret committee that reports to Trudeau that he wants to investigate this Chinese election interference. Their reports have been leaked. There's also been leaks of reports from the Privy Council office, which is Trudeau's department. And Trudeau keeps saying, I didn't know anything about funds going to candidates. And yet the most recent report is, well, the Privy Council office did a report for Trudeau, synthesizing 100 other reports, and said money went to candidates. So he's going to have to keep denying new allegations, new intelligence that comes out. And then just one basic question that Pierre Poilievre put to him more than half a dozen times this past Wednesday, and that was, CSIS warned you and your party about a candidate in 2019. Is that person currently sitting in the Liberal caucus or cabinet?
Yes or no.
Should be easy to say. Either yes, the person is, no, they're not, no, there was never a warning. Trudeau didn't answer any of that. He tried to whistle past and not even acknowledge the question, talked about everything else. He can't do that forever. But, I'm with Jamil. That list you gave is pretty long and would take out most politicians in terms of scandals, and he survived them all. So he may survive this.
And I think that's part of the frustration, perhaps, Jamil. But in that scrum where the media was really pressuring Justin Trudeau for some answer, any answer. In fact, at one point, one of the reporters yelled out, "Answer the question." We saw that happen actually once before during COVID, but rarely do we ever see such a pressure cooker scrum that's not involving a conservative politician. It's usually, the other side of the aisle. So for Trudeau to have to navigate that is not very familiar territory for him. He doesn't handle it necessarily well. But there's one truth he told in that. He said in that scrum, it doesn't matter what I say, Canadians are going to have questions. Well, yes, we do have questions. And those that are representing us on Parliament Hill have been asking those questions, but we are not getting any answers. So I pose to you, what is the sort of next step here? What are the not necessarily all the procedures in place, but what should be happening here?
Well, what should be happening for the good of the country is the announcement of a nonpartisan open investigation or inquiry into what has transpired in the last two federal elections so that all questions can be answered, all information is out there in the public, and that no one can accuse the Prime Minister or the Liberal Party of hiding things from the Canadian people. That level of transparency is what he needs in order to avoid these questions in the future. It doesn't seem that he wants to offer that kind of transparency. In fact, he's trying his best to bury the issue. His goal would be no one asks questions and everyone moves on, that it just is another one of those scandals. It gets added to the list and we all move our eyes away from what's happened to the elections in the last two times. But my hope would be, and maybe this will be the case, that the media and the Canadian people will not allow him to bury this one like he's buried his other scandals. But that's what he wants. So the major difference here is, do the Canadian people deserve full transparency, or does Justin Trudeau get to continue hiding things from us? And that question will be, I think, in part determined with whether the media continues putting the pressure on him that they have been.
Brian, last word to you. We know where the opposition Conservative Party stands on this. We sort of know where the bloc is. But what about Liberal leader Justin Trudeau's hype man, Jagmeet Singh, and the leader of the NDP? Where is he on all of this?
Well, it's interesting. The NDP came around to trying to call Katie Telford, Trudeau's chief of staff, who we all believe is the person CSIS briefed on candidates they had issues with. We all believe that, or they came around to calling her before committee. Initially, they weren't supportive of that. Then they said, yes, let's do it. And said, but if we're calling her, let's also call all these senior Conservatives from the last two elections. And the Conservatives said, yeah, let's do it. What people forget is this could end up looking bad for the Conservatives, because the allegation is there were 11 candidates helped in 2019. We've now had that broken down as 9 Liberal, 2 Conservatives. So, dirt could come out on things that were happening inside the Conservative Party. But they are at least calling for an open public inquiry, an independent one. Jagmeet Singh, will he have the mettle to stay at this course that he's now charting with the other opposition parties? Because they've all said, Telford has to testify. We need the production of documents from the PMO. So emails, memos, reports, things like that. And we need a public inquiry that is headed up by someone that all parties agree with. If he sticks to that course, Trudeau is in trouble. But, they may not face a vote in the Commons on this idea of a public inquiry until April 9th. It could go that long because they keep trying to delay. Maybe by April 9th, they will have appointed this special rapporteur, because they're saying that'll be within weeks. So can the NDP hold out that long? I hope so, because we need to get to the bottom of this.
And an important footnote to this ongoing scandal is long-serving Liberal MP Mark Garneau recently announcing his retirement. Just quit. Claims that this Chinese interference scandal has nothing to do with that decision, but the jury remains out on that. Log on to Facebook and Twitter, let us know what you think, and go to thetorontosun.com and hit that subscribe button. You're going to find stories like this and coverage you will not find anywhere else.